Adam Walsh, your mother is waiting for you. Please report to the toy department. The announcement echoes through the Hollywood Mall in Florida. Once, twice, every 15 minutes. But no little boy comes running. No freckled face appears from behind a clothing rack. The toy department remains empty. And with each passing minute, the temperature in that store drops. Because everyone is starting to realize something terrifying. 6-year-old Adam Walsh is gone. This is July 27th, 1981. The day that changed America forever. Let me take you back to that morning. Adam woke up in his home in Hollywood, Florida, and watched Sesame Street like any other 6-year-old. His father, John Walsh, kissed him goodbye before heading to work. John was riding high, vice president and director of marketing at the Paradise Grand Hotel, working on a $26 million project. His wife, Reve, was a part-time student studying interior design. They had everything. The American dream, a beautiful home, a thriving career, and their son, their precious only son, Adam. If you could order the sun out of a catalog, John would later say, that would be Adam. 3 feet 6 inches tall. Sandy blonde hair, hazel eyes, dimpled cheeks covered in freckles. His nickname was Cooter. He loved baseball. He loved drawing. He loved his parents more than anything. Around 11 a.m., Reve loaded Adam into their gray checker car. They had errands to run. First stop, St. Mark's Lutheran School. Reve dropped off a $90 check to register Adam for 2nd grade. Then, a 5-minute drive to the Hollywood Mall. Reve had been waiting months for a specific lamp to go on sale at Sears. She had the advertisement in her hand. Today was the day. She parked in her usual spot, the north side near the catalog entrance. It was a habit. She planned to hit the gym after shopping. She'd been competing in bodybuilding tournaments. But first, the lamp. They entered through the north entrance, passing guest services. And that's when Adam saw it. In the toy department, a brand new Atari 2600 video game system. In 1981, this was revolutionary technology. A TV screen, 2 controllers. Kids gathered around it like moths to a flame, taking turns playing Star Strike. Adam's eyes lit up. He begged his mother to let him stay and watch. Reve looked around. Security guards patrolling, dozens of shoppers, staff everywhere. And right across Hollywood Boulevard, visible through the windows, the police station. It was noon, broad daylight, one of the safest, most public places you could imagine. She said, "I'm going over to the lamp department. It's just a few aisles away." Adam replied, "Okay, Mommy, I know where that is." When she left, Adam was 3 deep in the line of boys waiting for their turn at the game. She walked to the lamp section, close enough that she could practically see the top of his head. 10 minutes, maybe 15 at most. She looked for the lamp. It wasn't on the floor. She asked a salesperson. They checked the back. Not in stock. The saleswoman was on lunch break, so Reve left her name and number. Then she returned to the toy department. The boys were gone. All of them. The Atari sat there, abandoned. Reve's heart started pounding. She called out for Adam. She walked through the aisles. Nothing. She went to customer service. "Page my son. Adam Walsh. Please." The announcement crackled over the speakers. "Adam Walsh, your mother is waiting for you. Please report to the toy department." Silence. By sheer coincidence, Reve's mother-in-law, Jean Walsh, was shopping in the same store. They ran into each other. Jean joined the search. Both women, along with store employees, combed every corner of Sears. Every 15 minutes, Adam's name was paged again. And again. And again. But here's what Reve didn't know. Here's what Sears refused to tell her. At approximately 12 o'clock, just minutes after she'd left Adam at that video game, a fight broke out. 2 black boys and 2 white boys arguing over whose turn it was to play. A 17-year-old security guard named Kathy Schaefer was called over. She was part-time, plain clothes, untrained. She assumed the boys in each group knew each other. She asked the black boys if their parents were in the store. They said no. She told them to leave through the north entrance. Then she turned to the 2 white boys. Same question. The older one said no. The younger one, wearing green shorts and a red and white striped shirt, said nothing. He was shy, scared, probably thought he was in trouble. Kathy Schaefer ordered both white boys out through the east exit, a door Adam had never used, leading to a part of the parking lot he didn't recognize. And for 27 years, the Walsh family would have no idea this had happened. Sears stayed silent, afraid of a lawsuit. When Reve asked where the boys had gone, employees shrugged. He's around somewhere. You'll find him. But Adam wasn't around. He was outside, alone, 6 years old, in an unfamiliar section of a massive mall parking lot, confused, frightened, vulnerable. By 1:55 p.m., nearly 2 hours after Adam was last seen, the Hollywood Police Department was finally called. Officers arrived from across the street. They began searching. They interviewed witnesses. But here's the part that will make your blood boil. The police didn't take it seriously. The very next day, a newspaper ran a quote from a police aide. "Kidnapping is not suspected. The kid is probably trying to get home. He's probably lost. We're searching the city for him." Lost. As if a 6-year-old could just wander off and find his way home from 5 miles away. It took 45 minutes for a uniformed officer to even show up at the scene. 45 minutes. The station was right across the street. When John Walsh arrived, having raced 45 minutes from his office in Miami, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. He demanded answers. "Where's the SWAT team? Where's the cavalry?" The officer looked at him with disdain. "Hey, cowboy, slow down. I don't like your attitude. Most kids walk home by themselves." John's voice rose. "This is a 6-year-old boy. We live 5 miles from here. He's never walked anywhere in his life. I want a detective. I want your boss. I support law enforcement. I know the mayor. You should be looking for my son." But the Hollywood Police Department wasn't looking. Not really. John and one of his business partners went to the station and stayed there for 2 weeks. They barely went home. They set up their own phone tap in case someone called with a ransom. Through a sleepless night, Reve sat at the police station. All she could think about was Adam's yellow flip-flops. His feet will be tired, scratched. He'll be cold in his t-shirt. When nightfall came, the reality sank in. Things were not going the right way. The Walshes plastered, their car with signs. "Adam, we're still looking for you. Please stay here." They distributed 500,000 flyers. Adam in his baseball uniform, smiling, innocent. John appeared on the news, his voice breaking. "We're not looking for revenge. Just drop him off somewhere. We'll forget the whole thing." A $5,000 reward was offered, then $10,000, then $100,000, eventually $120,000, the equivalent of $365,000 today. The public responded. Helicopters circled. Volunteers walked through fields. Truck drivers searched highways, communicating over CB radios. John gave people gas money to help search. Friends, employees, strangers, all looking for one little boy. But the police had almost nothing. Witnesses described a dark blue van, mag wheels, tinted windows, a chrome ladder on the back. But the mall had been packed that day. Thousands of people. The list of suspects was impossible to narrow down. And here's what made it even worse. There were no Amber Alerts in 1981. No National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. The FBI was prohibited by law from helping unless there was proof the child crossed state lines or a ransom note was received. By day 7, The media moved on. The search continued, but hope was fading. Then John received shocking information from the county coroner. "We don't exchange information about unidentified bodies. We do it every 6 months by mail." John asked, "Is my son in the NCIC?" The coroner said, "What's that?" "The National Crime Information Computer." The coroner shook his head. "No missing children. No unidentified dead." John was stunned. "We put a man on the moon, and you're telling me I have to call every coroner in Florida to see if my son is dead?" The coroner nodded. "It's up to you." John tried to get the media's attention. He called ABC, NBC, CBS. Only 3 channels existed in 1981. They all said no. "If we do it for you, we have to do it for every missing kid." Finally, David Hartman from Good Morning America agreed. John and Reve would appear on national television to plead for Adam's safe return. The date was set. August 11th, 1981, exactly 2 weeks after Adam's disappearance. But on August 10th, the day before their appearance, 2 fishermen named Vernon Bailey and Robert Hughes were casting lines near a drainage canal off the Florida Turnpike, about 120 miles north of Hollywood. Mile marker 130 in Indian River County. It was almost nightfall. Then they saw something floating. At first, they thought it was a doll's head. They rowed closer. It wasn't a doll. It was the severed head of a child. They called police immediately. Photos were taken. The fire department arrived. Divers searched the canal for days. They never found the rest of the body. On August 11th, while John and Reve were live on Good Morning America begging for their sons' return, police were making identifications. When the Walshes landed back in Florida, reporters shoved cameras in their faces. The police had news. Devastating news. 4 separate confirmations proved it was Adam. John Moynihan, John Walsh's close friend and business partner, the same man whose son John had once saved from drowning, drove to Indian River County Hospital. He identified Adam by the gap in his front teeth and the stub of a new tooth growing in. He'd seen Adam just days before. Adam's dentist, Dr. Berger, brought dental charts and x-rays, an amalgam filling on the lower left molar. A perfect match. The medical examiners confirmed, and years later, mitochondrial DNA from the jawbone would match Reve Walsh, silencing any conspiracy theories. The head was airlifted to the Broward County Medical Examiner, where Dr. Ronald Wright performed the autopsy. 5 blows to the back of the neck and skull. A sharp blade, approximately 5.5 inches. The decapitation was post-mortem. Adam had been struck from behind while lying face down. Cause of death, asphyxiation. Trauma to the face, a fractured nose. Based on decomposition, Dr. Wright estimated Adam had been dead for at least 10 days. Killed within a day or 2 of his abduction, not kept alive. There were no drugs in his system. The head had been submerged for 12 days. It only surfaced in the last 24 hours. Dr. Wright later said, "We were lucky the head was found. If those fishermen hadn't come along, no one would ever have known what happened to Adam." When they cleaned the skull, they found white fragments, ceramic, paint, vitreous material, probably from the weapon. The fracture patterns could have identified the exact tool, but they never found it. The Walshes held a funeral, an empty casket, because the remains were evidence. They couldn't bury their son. It was eating them alive. John went to Dr. Wright. He begged for the remains. Dr. Wright said, "Come to my office. Work late." They talked for hours. Dr. Wright explained. He couldn't release the remains yet. But there was something John could do. He could help other missing children, make sure Adam didn't die in vain. That conversation changed John Walsh's life. But first, they had to find the killer. And what followed was one of the most frustrating investigations in American history. The Hollywood Police Department began investigating everyone in Adam's life. And they had to. Statistics don't lie. When a child goes missing, the perpetrator is almost always someone close, a parent, a relative, a family friend. So they started with the Walshes themselves. John and Reve both submitted to polygraph tests. Both passed. No deception. But then there was someone else on the radar, a 25-year-old man named James Campbell. Nickname, Dudley. He'd been living with the Walshes for 4 years, and he'd moved out just 2 weeks before Adam disappeared. Dudley ran a boat rental stand on Miami Beach, sailboats, Hobie cats. On the morning of July 27th, he drove to the Walsh house around 9 a.m. John had already left for work. Dudley had breakfast with Reve and Adam. Reve asked if he could take Adam to work that day. Dudley said no. He was busy prepping boats for a commercial shoot. It was too windy, anyway. He left at 10, arrived at work at 10:30, all confirmed by witnesses. But when police dug deeper, Dudley revealed something explosive. For 3 years, he'd been having an affair with Reve Walsh, and it was still ongoing. Dudley's first polygraph came back inconclusive. He was rattled, shaking. But the second one? No deception. He also underwent hypnosis. The Walsh family never believed Dudley had anything to do with Adam's death. Reve said the affair wasn't serious. But the police? They latched onto this love triangle theory like a dog with a bone. If you read the case file, 10,000 pages of documents, you can see how obsessed they were with Dudley. Weeks, months, digging, interrogating. One officer later admitted, "We put him through the ringer. We did everything short of beating him. We violated his civil rights." Eventually, Dudley got a lawyer, probably because the Walshes told him to. And eventually, he was cleared. John, Reve, and Dudley, all innocent. So the investigation moved on. But then the truth about the Sears security guard came out, and it changed everything. Kathy Schaefer, 17 years old, untrained, part-time, plain clothes. She'd ejected 4 boys from the toy department the day Adam went missing. At first, she told police there'd been a fight. She broke it up. Told some boys to leave through one door, others through another. But she claimed she didn't think one of them was Adam Walsh. Sears stayed silent. They didn't announce to the world that their security guard had kicked kids onto the street. Why? Lawsuits, bad press, liability. But eventually, the Walshes found out. And on July 22nd, 1983, just days before the statute of limitations expired, they sued Sears for negligence and wrongful death. The lawsuit alleged that Sears knew child predators frequented the toy department, that the video game display was bait, that instead of ejecting Adam, the guard should have found his parents. Sears fired back. Their lawyers claimed Reve was negligent for leaving Adam alone. Contributory negligence, they called it. And then Sears threatened to drag the Walsh's entire life through the mud. The affair, the family dynamics, everything. John Walsh said, "Adam wouldn't have been on that sidewalk if it weren't for Sears. I have every right to sue." But Sears subpoenaed the police files, and the case was still open. Active investigation. If those files got leaked in a civil trial, it could destroy any chance of a criminal conviction. So in November 1983, the Walshes dropped the lawsuit. They had bigger battles to fight, laws to change, children to save. Meanwhile, police were tracking down witnesses. And here's the problem. Everyone remembered something different. One salesperson said, "Kids always fought over that Atari." A young witness named James Martin said he saw 2 black boys trying to grab the controller from an 8-year-old white boy. A security guard came over. But he couldn't say if that boy was Adam. There were too many kids, too much chaos. And here's the critical issue. Maybe the abduction didn't even happen inside the store. Maybe it happened outside, in the parking lot, which means the in-store witnesses didn't matter. What mattered was who was in that parking lot, and the police didn't focus there soon enough. Years passed. Leads went cold. Then, in September 1995, 14 years after Adam's murder, Kathy Schaefer was found and re-interviewed. And now, she said something different. She was 85% sure it had been Adam Walsh she escorted out of the store. She'd been afraid to speak up before. So many people blamed her. But she was just 17. She wasn't trained. She didn't kill Adam. She just made a terrible mistake. Schaefer described the incident clearly now. 2 black boys. 2 white boys. She asked the black boys if their parents were there. They said no. She sent them out the north entrance. Then she asked the white boys. The older one said no. The younger one, green shorts, striped shirt, said nothing. She ordered them out the east exit. 30 minutes later, she heard Adam's name being paged. Adam had been sent to a part of the mall he'd never seen before. Reve always parked on the north side. But Adam was kicked out the east side, alone, confused. A perfect target for anyone driving by. Over the years, dozens of suspects were investigated. One was Edward Harold James, arrested in 1981 for abducting a child in Pompano Beach. A cellmate claimed James confessed to killing Adam, lured him out with ice cream, then cut his head off and kicked it into a canal like a football. Police got a warrant, searched his car. A 1974 Plymouth Fury. Tested for blood. James had replaced the front seat in August 1981, right after Adam disappeared, but they found nothing conclusive. He passed a voice stress test. His employer said he was at work the day Adam went missing. Case closed on James. Then there was Keith Allen Warren, tried to decapitate someone in Las Vegas with a machete. A cellmate said Warren bragged about killing Adam. But Warren gave his DNA voluntarily. In 2008, he was ruled out. He later admitted he only confessed to look tough in prison. And then there was Jeffrey Dahmer. In 1991, when Dahmer was arrested in Milwaukee for his horrific crimes, people started coming forward. William Bowen said he saw Dahmer outside Sears the day Adam disappeared. Willis Morgan claimed he saw Dahmer in a Radio Shack, acting suspicious, and followed him to the toy department. A woman named Janice Santamazzino said she nearly crashed into a blue van illegally parked outside Sears. She went inside, saw a disheveled man, got a creepy feeling. When Dahmer's face hit the news, she said, "That's him." Police looked into it. Dahmer had been discharged from the military in early 1981, flew to Miami in March. By July, he was broke, sleeping on beaches. Then he got a job at Sunshine Subs, a sandwich shop. He worked there from April to September 1981. The shop had a blue van for deliveries, but the owner said Dahmer didn't drive it because he drank too much. Dahmer denied killing Adam. He said, "If I did it, I'd tell you. I would welcome the death penalty." And here's the thing. Dahmer admitted to every other murder in excruciating detail. Why would he lie about this one? But then again, Dahmer lied to his father for years, to his lawyer, to police. He could lie convincingly when he wanted to. Still, Dahmer didn't own a car in 1981. If he killed Adam, he'd have had to steal the work van, commit the murder, return it, and nobody noticed. Possible? Maybe. Provable? No. On August 7th, 1981, 3 days before Adam's head was found, a Publix truck driver saw a blue van parked near that drainage canal. He saw a man with a flashlight and a white bucket, dumping something into the water. Years later, after seeing Dahmer's photo, the driver said he believed it was him. But Dahmer was never charged. And less than a month after Adam's disappearance, Dahmer left Florida for Ohio. And then came Ottis Elwood Toole. October 10th, 1983, a TV movie called Adam aired on national television. 38 million people watched. At the end, they showed photos of missing children. A hotline number flashed on screen. The next day, October 11th, a detective named Kendrick from Brevard County got a confession. Ottis Toole, a drifter, a pyromaniac, locked up for arson, started hinting about killing a child. Then he said it outright. He and Henry Lee Lucas abducted a boy from a Sears in Fort Lauderdale, 7 to 10 years old. Blue jeans, blue shirt, sneakers. Wait, that's not Adam's description. Wrong clothes, wrong age. Toole said they were driving a black over white Cadillac. The boy was in the back seat. Lucas held him down. They drove north. The kid wouldn't stop fighting. Lucas told Toole to pull over. Dirt road. Lucas chopped the kid's head off with a machete, 3 to 4 blows. Face down. But there's a problem. A massive problem. Henry Lee Lucas was in jail in Maryland the day Adam was abducted. Locked up. Couldn't have done it. When confronted, Toole changed his story. Okay, I did it alone. I only said Lucas did it to get back at him. He killed my niece. Toole and Lucas. They met in a soup kitchen in Jacksonville in 1976. Became lovers. Went on a killing spree across America. Lucas claimed 600 victims. Toole claimed 125. They became known as the Confession Killers. Most of their confessions were lies, made up for attention. For what investigators call fried chicken and field trips, getting out of their cells, eating free food, going on car rides to show where bodies were buried. Toole confessed to Adam's murder, then recanted, then confessed again, then recanted, at least 4 times. He said he lured Adam with candy, with toys. He said Adam got in the car willingly, then panicked. Toole punched him, knocked him out, drove 10 minutes, got on the turnpike heading north toward Jacksonville, pulled off on a dirt road, put Adam face down, chopped his head off with a machete, 4 to 5 blows. That detail matched the medical examiner's report, and supposedly that information hadn't been released to the public. Toole said he drove around with the head on the front seat, then the back floorboard, eventually tossed it into a canal near a wooden footbridge. Police found the 1971 Cadillac Toole claimed he used. It belonged to a woman named Faye McNett. She'd repossessed it when Toole stopped making payments. The car was sitting in a Jacksonville lot. Police got a warrant. Searched it. No trunk liner. On November 2nd, 1983, they sprayed luminol inside. It lit up. Driver's side floorboard. Left rear floorboard. Blood. But here's the devastating part. They couldn't determine if it was human or animal. The technology didn't exist yet in 1983, so they sealed the evidence, left it in Jacksonville for 6 months, waiting for Hollywood PD to pick it up. They never did. The car was eventually returned to the owner, sold for scrap in 1985. The carpet, the blood, gone forever. In 1995, an FBI agent reached out to John Walsh. Get me that carpet. Get me that blood sample. I'll run DNA tests. We'll solve this. But when they asked Hollywood PD for the evidence, it was gone. Lost. The one piece of physical proof that could have closed this case. Vanished. One investigator later examined the luminol photo from the car. He said he could see the outline of a face in the blood on the floorboard. Adam's face. Reve Walsh believes it. She says, "That's my child." But we'll never know for sure. Police tracked Toole's timeline meticulously, called hospitals, gas stations, blood banks, churches. They went day by day. They knew Toole was in Florida in May 1981 because his mother died. They knew on July 24th he checked out of a hospital in Virginia and got a bus ticket to Jacksonville from the Salvation Army. He arrived July 25th, claimed he dug up $300 from a tin can at his mother's burned house. Said he went to Biscayne Bay on July 26th to turn tricks. On July 27th, Adam disappeared. On August 1st, Toole moved into a boarding house, and his brother assaulted him over a stolen truck. Police report confirms that. But between July 26th and July 30th, the exact window of Adam's murder, police couldn't pin down Toole's location. They took Toole on field trips, first to a mall in Plantation to trick him. He said, "Nope, wrong place. That's one level, not two." Then to Hollywood Mall. He said, "Looks familiar." They drove him to mile marker 126 on the turnpike. He said, "Maybe this is where I buried him." They searched with ground-penetrating radar. Found nothing. At mile marker 130, where Adam's head was actually found, Toole pointed to the wooden footbridge. "I tossed the head from there." But here's the problem. Police had already shown him a photo of that bridge days earlier. He could have just been repeating what he'd seen. Toole changed his story multiple times. He said he burned Adam's body in a refrigerator at his mother's house. Didn't work. Put the body in his trunk. Watered it down. Drove to a dump, threw everything away, including the trunk carpet. When police searched his mother's property, they found green, shorts, and a yellow shoe. The Walshes said they weren't Adam's, but for years they weren't even shown the items. In January 1984, police excavated the backyard. Found animal bones, not human. Multiple weapons were tested. A machete. A bayonet. None matched the marks on Adam's skull. A fingerprint on tape around a machete handle didn't match Toole. Hair samples from the Cadillac were too degraded for DNA testing. That's why they eventually tested the jawbone against Reve's DNA, to confirm the remains were Adam's. Toole was never charged. Without physical evidence, the state wouldn't prosecute. On September 15, 1996, Toole died in prison. Cirrhosis of the liver. Hepatitis. Before he died, he allegedly confessed to his niece, Sarah Patterson. She visited him in December 1995 and again in 1996 as he was dying. She asked, "Uncle Ottis, did you kill Adam Walsh?" He said, "Yeah. I killed the little boy. I always felt kind of bad about it, too." John Walsh later said, "The Hollywood police didn't even know he was dying. Nobody went to talk to him." In 2008, John and Reve hired a retired detective named Joe Matthews. He reviewed the entire case file, 10,000 pages. He concluded Ottis Toole killed Adam Walsh. He found an unprocessed roll of film showing what he believed was an imprint of Adam's face in the blood on the Cadillac's floorboard. Hollywood PD reviewed Matthews's work. They agreed. On December 16, 2008, Police Chief Chad Wagner held a press conference. Adam's parents were there. Wagner announced the case was closed. They were satisfied Toole was the killer. He publicly apologized for the mistakes, the lost evidence, the failures. John Walsh stood up and said, "Today is a reaffirmation that Adam didn't die in vain. For all victims who haven't gotten justice, don't give up hope." Not everyone agrees. Critics say Toole's first confession had everything wrong. The what description? The clothes, the age. He couldn't even identify Adam's photo. He placed Lucas at the scene when Lucas was in jail. Every confession he made was tailored to match details police fed him. Others still believe Jeffrey Dahmer did it, that he took a work van, killed Adam, cleaned up, and lied. But both men are dead now. Dahmer was murdered in prison. Toole died in a hospital bed. Neither will harm another child. But here's the miracle. Adam's legacy. John and Reve took their grief and turned it into a revolution. The turning point came when Dr. Ronald Wright told John, "You can't have Adam's remains yet, but you can help other children. Make sure he didn't die in vain." Reve quit school. They founded the Adam Walsh Child Resource Center, a nonprofit for missing, abused, and neglected children. A TV movie was made. The rights sold for $150,000. It funded the center. After the movie aired, $40,000 in donations poured in. Missing, children shown at the end were found. Parents learned about stranger danger. John and Reve stayed married. They had 3 more children. In October 1982, President Reagan signed the Missing Children's Act, a national clearinghouse through the FBI. Children were finally entered into the NCIC database. John pushed for VICAP, the Violent Crime Apprehension Program, to track serial killers. The Adam Walsh Center became the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. To date, they've recovered over 360,000 children. Let that sink in. 360,000. In 2006, President Bush signed the Adam Walsh Child Protection Act. It expanded the National Sex Offender Registry, created a child abuse registry, strengthened penalties for crimes against children. John became the host of America's Most Wanted. 23 years on air. 1,100 fugitives captured. He went on to host In Pursuit with John Walsh and These Were Hunt with John Walsh, and Code Adam, the program used in stores across America. When a child goes missing, a Code Adam is called. The store locks down. Employees mobilize. Nobody leaves until the child is found. This is Adam's legacy. A 6-year-old boy who loved baseball and drawing, who called his mother Mommy and his father Daddy, who watched Sesame Street and played with Atari video games. A boy who should have grown up to have his own children, his own career, his own life. But instead, his death became the spark that ignited a national movement. Laws were passed. Systems were created. Thousands of children came home because of him. On a summer day in 1981, Adam Walsh was taken from his mother in a shopping mall. His life was stolen, his childhood erased. But his legacy? His legacy saved a generation. Perhaps something good did come from this tragedy after all. Adam Walsh didn't die in vain.